Hello, welcome to the Pale Wizard YouTube channel. My name's Dan, this is Tim. We've got another episode of Cheap Vinyl and Cheap Beers. So the basic premise is we take it in turns. We've each got to buy a record for £5 or less. On this occasion I've bought this Sky 2. I picked this up on eBay for £4.50 including postage. Which I don't understand how they did that. So
the postage is going to cost about £4.
Easy.
Mm-hmm. So,
what
condition is it in?
Really good. Well, have a look at the sleeve. Have a look yourself, Tim.
For 50p, seems.
So
this is a double vinyl, isn't it?
It is. It is a double vinyl.
It's bloody. It almost looks like new.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was very, very happy with that. And it's a blind. It was a blind purchase for me. I don't know much about this band at all. So this was a first time listen. And before we get to talking about the record, today's beer, we've got this, Tim.
Okay.
Brewdog Black Heart.
Black Heart.
I think you can guess
So it's a stout, yeah?
It's a stout.
Right. 21st century stout.
It's very much going for the Guinness side of the market.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say it's
so
very...
this is Brewdog's Guinness.
It's very, very similar to Guinness.
Yeah.
Very similar. I've had one of these before. It's all right, actually. I'd say it's probably slightly better than Guinness.
You reckon?
Yeah. I think...
I'm not a big Guinness fan.
I think Guinness has kind of gone off the rails a little bit. Now, it might be because my taste buds are getting older.
Mm.
Guinness, to me, doesn't taste like it did 25 years ago.
Okay.
It doesn't quite have the same...
Well, surely it's brewed the same way, right?
I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
I've heard talk that they're using things called brewing syrups.
Right.
Which is a bit of a shortcut way to get the taste that you want.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I think that Guinness has that this doesn't, I think Guinness got slightly better mouthfeel.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more thicker, a little bit more creamier. Okay. But this is pretty good. There's a few stouts on the market at the moment. Notably, Conor McGregor's got one called Forged Irish Stout, which is actually pretty banging, if I'm honest. I'd say that's probably my favourite. But see what you think of this.
Conor McGregor, eh?
It's a nitro stout, so you can literally tip it in the glass straight in.
Right.
You don't have to be too...
okay.
It can be a bit lively.
I saw Conor McGregor's acting debut the other day.
You watched it, did you?
Roadhouse.
You went to the cinema to watch it?
No, it's at Amazon Prime. I watched it here one night.
Is it?
And it was quite... Yeah.
I thought it was at the cinema.
No, it's on Amazon Prime.
Straight to Amazon, is it?
Yeah.
And...
It's okay.
Is it?
Well, Conor McGregor's not very good in it, but he's not an actor.
I've never seen the original Roadhouse.
Well, it's just Patrick Swayze hitting people in a club. As a bouncer. And this is the same thing, but with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
So I quite like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
so I watched it.
He was in that Southpaw film, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's a good film.
Which is a really good film.
Yeah. So yeah, he's got a similar kind of physique in this. So he plays like a cage fighter that went too far and hurt someone. I think it's quite unclear whether he hurt him or killed him.
So hold on, is he working as a bouncer in a pub?
He gets recruited as a bouncer in a bar in Florida.
Okay.
And then there's some people that want to take over. It's the same story as the first one, but you haven't seen that. Some people that want to take over the club. So he decides to protect the club at all costs from these people.
Would you recommend that?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, if you're here one evening, maybe.
Is it comparable to the original?
It's the same story, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's as good. I'm not a massive lover of the original. Right. It's okay. I'd probably watch the original.
I'm just a bit bored of them remaking films.
It's just the way that it's edited, and it's really annoying. The fight scenes are all like the camera keeps zooming in onto certain parts and swinging around.
Is it a known director?
It's a guy who's directed. Have you ever seen that Tom Cruise film where he just dies over and over and over?
That annoyed me.
Yeah, well, it's a similar kind of thing to this.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Let's have a sniff through the beer. Again, it's very similar to Guinness.
Smells like Guinness to me.
Not quite. Guinness always has a bit of a banana smell, and I don't get that with this. A little bit more roasty on this one.
Yeah, it smells like Guinness to me. My nose.
You know what I'm saying about Guinness? Sometimes it has a bit of a kind of a banana kind of.
It's been a long time since I drank Guinness.
Has it?
Yeah, long
time.
Cheers.
Your thing or not?
It has got the aftertaste, doesn't it? That you get with Guinness.
I like the flavour. It doesn't quite have the creaminess.
No,
I think that's missing.
No, it's a bit thinner, isn't it?
Yours has developed a better head than mine has.
Aren't you supposed to gulp down huge mouthfuls of the first Guinness you have and split the G, whatever it is, on the glass?
Yeah.
Just drink beer, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't dislike it. I would drink it. Guinness is the kind of thing that I drink after I've been out drinking and there's nothing else on draft, and it's like, oh, it's Guinness now, just drink that. I've done that a few times, but I would never go into a pub sober and order a Guinness. I'm not a big stout fan. This is fine. I quite like Brewdog stuff on the whole. Even their lagers are passable. I don't drink lager, so
yeah, I'm not massive on Brewdog.
It's expensive.
I think this is better than I'm not like. Is it Lost Lager?
Yeah.
Don't really do it for me.
I don't like drinking beers out of those stubby Coke cans anyway.
No,
I just find that a bit annoying.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd rather have something that's at least trying to be a pint.
Yeah. Like I said though, if you get a chance to check out that forged Irish Stout, it's decent. Really decent.
Does it punch you right in the face?
One thing I think they do on the forged Irish Stout is every time I open a can of it, it really erupts out the can.
Yeah.
I think they're putting more nitro in it. I think so. Maybe that's the reason I like it so much, because they're putting so much nitrogen in it that when you pour it, it's really thick.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the kind of thing that maybe Guinness have stopped putting so much in. I don't know. All I know is Guinness doesn't taste.
We don't know that much about beer, do we? We just know what we like the taste of. So
indeed. But this is half decent. Anyway, so the record I picked up was Sky 2, the second album from the band Sky.
So tell me about the band Sky, because I knew the name, but I didn't, before having to listen to this, I didn't really know much. And then I did when I got to the end, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay, well, so I only really know about this band because the drummer of one of the bands I'm in is a big fan. A handy thing about this record is it tells you who's in it on the top.
Yeah.
John Williams, classical guitar player, not to be mistaken with the other John Williams. Herbie Flowers, Kevin Peake, Tristan Fry, and Francis Monkman. And by all accounts, they're a bit of a supergroup. They're a bit of like a who's who of musos.
A couple of them are Australian.
Yeah, so it's a UK Australian mix. They don't have a massive catalogue of albums, do they?
No.
And they changed lineups quite a few times.
I think this is their commercial successful peak, isn't it? This one.
This is regarded by most as the best thing they did. Again, I'd be interested to know what the viewers think of that. Maybe there's something else they've done which is better. And they didn't have a very long existence recording wise. They did 7 albums between 79 and 87.
Okay.
I think that was it.
That's not very prolific, is it?
The band still existed in some form or another as a live entity up until the 90s. So yeah, they're an English Australian instrumental rock group. I guess you'd say there's elements of classical music, there's elements of jazz fusion, prog, lots of prog rock, but there's definitely that classical kind of almost medieval kind of tint to some of the songs.
There's a kind of Arabic kind of tint to is it Sahara?
Yeah.
A track called Sahara?
Yeah, I like that.
I really liked. Yeah, this is on the first. So the first, it's a very much so it's the last track on the first side. I like the way that this is set up, this album. So you've got side 1, which is your sort of prog rock kind of stuff, your far out there kind of thing, and then side 2 is just one long piece split into 4
it's like a
parts,
suite, isn't it?
Like a suite, FIFO.
Yeah.
Which stands for something.
Adagio.
This started off, and it started to remind me of Mike Oldfield.
Yes.
Crises.
That's a great album.
That's my favourite Mike Oldfield album.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But by the end, it kind of went a bit Tubular Bellsy.
Yes.
It kind of brought in that
right.
element of it. So I really liked this whole of this first.
It had a similar the way that Mike Oldfield sequences his songs.
Yeah.
Where it's like 4 4 4 4 that kind of thing. That did remind me actually of Mike Oldfield quite a bit.
Yeah. Really gave me, and when I first put it on, so this hotter thing, first track, this piece, it kind of gave me a Cliff Richard and the Shadows kind of
I know what you're
vibe.
saying.
And as it went on, I was starting to. It was reminding me of the soundtrack to The Long Good Friday.
Yeah.
Both those things came into my head independently of me then going on Wikipedia, looking up this band and finding out that Kevin Peake used to play with Cliff Richard at some point, and the Francis Monkman actually wrote the music for The Long Good Friday.
Yeah.
So you can really hear
you can.
The Long Good Friday's got an amazing soundtrack. And you can really hear those influences on that first side, especially. Sort of shines through, and I really like that. And like I said, I really enjoyed the whole of this first record. I thought it was great.
But the funny thing is, the records were in the wrong sleeves when I first got them, and I wasn't looking at the label, so I thought sides 3 and 4 were sides 1 and 2. So I was listening to those first.
Yeah.
And then I was getting around to sides 1 and 2 and thinking, oh god, these sides 3 and 4 are really good. I like all of it.
I could do without the whole of side 3 personally.
Well, side 3's I don't know if it all feels a bit Monty Python to me in a way.
Silly, isn't it? Especially the tuba thing.
Tuba Smarty.
I'm guessing that's supposed to be silly.
Yeah, it's like it's very jovial, very English.
But it's quite annoying. The tuba's not the most easy listening of instruments.
But then listening to it in the context of the album, when you've had 30 or 40 minutes of this, it's almost like it's a bit of light relief.
Because it's long, this album, isn't it? It's 80 minutes on.
I'm very naive to Sky. I don't really know much about them at all. I didn't know that this was. It reached number 1 in the UK. It was the fastest selling double album to receive platinum status. And the single Toccata, which I didn't know I knew, but obviously I know because it's huge. That reached number 5. It's weird, isn't it? Singles charts back then. A song like that can reach number 5. I mean, it's brilliant.
And what year was that? What year? Is this 1980? Is it 81 or 80? Is it very early 80s, isn't it?
80.
80.
So yeah, Sky 1 came out in 79.
Yeah.
And so this came out in 80.
Followed it up quite quickly.
One thing I'd say about this album is it's recorded really well. It's beautifully produced.
Yeah.
The drums are just fantastic and like.
Yeah, and that's the one bit of side 3 I did like is there's this track, Tristan's Magic Garden. So Tristan Fry, who's the drummer, just goes to town with all these different kinds of percussion on it.
It's totally over the top and self-indulgent.
Quite silly, but quite fun. And that was the only bit that really held my interest with side 3. Side 4, so Vivaldi. So this was a Curved Air track, I believe.
Yeah, apparently so. So who was in Curved Air? There was Francis Monkman.
Yeah.
He was a founding member of Curved Air, wasn't he?
So Curved Air, must be about a year or so ago, went into a record shop in Bristol, and they were playing this amazing piece of music, which because we were in there, me and my wife were in there for a while, probably about 20 minutes, and this song was going on for the majority of the time we were there. So when it finished, we had to go and ask what it was, and it turned out to be from Curved Air's second album, a track called Peace of Mind. So I went home and listened to the whole of it because he wanted like 50 quid for the record.
Wow.
So I went home and listened to the album on Apple Music, and it was great. And that's the only real experience I've ever had of Curved Air. Obviously I know the name.
And obviously the great thing about these recordings from the 70s is they actually had to perform this in the studio. You didn't really have the
there's no ability to cheat.
I mean, you could punch in but still the musicianship on show here it's really at the very peak.
Yeah. And they know it as well, don't they? Because there is a lot of very showy passages of music on here.
Now, obviously, Herbie Flowers on bass. I knew I'd heard that name before.
Right.
And he played bass with T-Rex.
Oh, did he?
And Blue Mink. So there's a lot of history of all these band members. It's a very odd band, isn't it? Really. These
like supergroup kind of things are, on the whole, aren't they? They're usually a little bit of a.
I wonder how much of a democracy it was in the studio. This type of project.
Yeah.
Because obviously everyone has to have their little bit of ego stroked, don't they?
They do. But with this, the good thing is that there's no singer to deal with, no egotistical frontman that they had to deal with. Because it's instrumental.
So Francis Monkman, he died last year actually.
Yeah, I did read that. Yeah.
So he was the founding member of Curved Air. So it turns out that Tristan Fry, who was on drums, and Herbie Flowers on bass, they were the only consistent members throughout the history of Sky. John Williams didn't last too long after this, I don't believe, and he's an incredibly prolific classical guitarist.
Yeah. But he's not the John Williams film.
No,
music.
But I tried trying to find a proper discography for John Williams. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, Wikipedia is obviously not that consistent with things like this, but just trying to get a grasp on what this John Williams
and it's
has
a
done.
Name that if you Google is not very helpful. Such a
no, but I mean, he's a massively well-regarded musician.
But difficult to find online.
So apparently he now resides in London and Cornwall.
Okay.
Kevin Peake on guitars. He left in 91. He sadly died in 2013. Had some trouble with the law in his later years.
Oh, did he?
Apparently.
No, I think I did read something about that. He was in Australia, wasn't he? And he was. I think when he died, he was being investigated for something and never quite went to trial.
Yeah. So it's all a bit mysterious. And like I said, Tristan Fry on drums. So I, for £4.50, I really enjoyed myself a little bit in life. Yeah. I'm interested to hear more from the band.
Yeah, I would listen to something else. I love the Bach one, Toccata. That's great. I've heard that track loads being played by punk bands because Toy Dolls covered it back in the day as well, probably around this time. Probably because they did it, I expect.
I'm sure there's I think we're only scratching the surface of this band, and anyone who's a big Sky fan, please enlighten us to what we're missing out on. Are there more Sky albums that we should be listening to? I've been told by a few people that this is the one to get. I've really enjoyed this. What was your overall thoughts on Sky 2?
Yeah, I think it's good. Really good.
Cool.
If I listened to it again, I probably would listen to side 3.
Yeah, but, fair enough.
Yeah, because I love the whole of the first disc, and I love side 4. So for me, I split it into it because it's so long as well. It
is long.
If you take that third side out, it's an hour then, isn't it? So
I've really enjoyed cleaning my kitchen to this record. It goes well with loading up the dishwasher and
just
wiping the sides down.
Tasks.
It does. It's a really good background bit of music.
Yeah.
Anyway, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.